just a little bit caught in the middle. Life is an ace and love is a riddle. I don't know where to go, can't do it alone. I try and I don't know why. Slow it down and make it stop, or else my heart is going to pop. Cause it's too much, yeah, it's a lot to be something I'm not. I'm a fool out of love, cause I just can't get enough. I'm just a little bit caught in the middle. Life is a maze and love is a riddle. I don't know where to go, can't do it alone. I try and I don't know why. I'm just a little girl lost in a moment. I'm so scared, but I don't show it out. Can't figure it out, it's bringing me down. I know I got to let it go and just enjoy the show.
Baseball has been America's sport since 1846. Ever since its creation, statistics have been recorded for every game. We are going to take a different approach to evaluating players. We will be acquiring players that are relatively cheap and have a good on-base percentage. Baseball should not be looked at as buying players, it should be looked at as buying wins. And what we are about to do, we are not looking for the highest paid and the best rated players. We are looking for players that will get us wins. This is Moneyball. Welcome to a new MLB The Show 17 series called Moneyball. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Moneyball, it is a movie based on actual events that occurred in MLB in the year 2002. Billy Beane, the GM of the Oakland Athletics, was faced with the franchise's limited budget for players. His goal was to build a team of undervalued players using a sophisticated sabermetric approach created by Bill James. Beane searched for undervalued players that are inexpensive and had a good on-base percentage. Our goal throughout this series is to use Bill James' sabermetrics to bring the Oakland Athletics to a World Series. We will simplify Bill James' system and simply search for and acquire players that are cheap and have a good on-base percentage. Let's get started. As we get started here, I would like to point out Oakland Athletics team budget. It's the yellow number up above the logo kind of. It's $75 million for their team budget. And as I scroll through these teams, I want you to watch that number and see how much more money almost every team in the league has. So basically, as we go through here, almost every team is over $100 million. And then we take a look at the Washington Nationals, and their team budget is $178.5 million compared to Oakland's $75 million. So basically there are rich teams and there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap, then there's Oakland. So throughout this series we're not going to look at team rankings. We don't care about speed, we don't care about contact, we don't care about power, pitching, or defense, we don't care about our overall rank. The only number we really care about is on-base percentage, and we'll keep an eye on our budget. So we do want GM contracts on. Everything else looks pretty good. I want to manually do pretty much everything, so we'll turn auto manage off. And we will start in spring training. That way I have time to trade for players who have better on-base percentage, try and clear up some salary cap room. As we take a look at our team budget breakdown, you'll notice that our projected cash flow is $863,000 a week. And this number will fluctuate based on player salaries, coach salaries, and scout salaries. So if we have more expensive players, this number will go down. But if we do well, if we win games, we get people to come into the stadium, sell food, sell merchandise, sell tickets, then our team revenue should go up, so our projected cash flow should go up. So the better we do, the more money we have to spend on players who get on base. As we look at our roster before the season even starts, our best player is Sean Doolittle with an 86 overall. An 86 overall really isn't that good for the best player on the team. But we're not going to really look at overall. We're not going to base very many decisions off overall. We're looking more at on-base percentage. Obviously, if a guy has like a 57 overall, he's probably not going to do very well on getting on base. So overall is not one of the main focuses, but keep it in the back of your mind. However, a guy with a 75 overall can have one of the best on-base percentages in the league. The other thing we need to keep an eye on is the player's salary. So if I sort here, our most expensive player is Davis, who's only $5 million a year. That's really not that much for the most expensive player on the team. A guy like Mike Trout could easily run $30 million. I'm not sure what his contract is currently, but he could easily be $30 million a year, which obviously we can't afford. So we'll have to keep an eye on salary, try and keep this number as low as possible. And the most important stat we'll be keeping track of is on-base percentage, which is on the far right of your screen, OBP. And essentially what on-base percentage is how often a batter reaches base. So in very simple terms, it's hits, walks, and hits by pitches divided by at-bats in very simple terms. So that is the number one stat we'll be looking at, along with how much money the player costs. So as the Oakland Athletics General Manager, I have 3 goals. I have a yearly goal, a contract goal, and a Moneyball Series goal. Our yearly goal is to finish over 500. Our contract goal is to reach postseason, and our Moneyball Series goal is to win the World Series. This will be done basically by trading players who get on base. So right now I'm going to go and see if I can find some trades to make, and if I find any before we start simulating, I will let you guys know. Alright guys, as promised, I have my first trade to show you. I will be trading Davis, our center fielder and most expensive player on the team, for the Rangers right fielder Shin Soo Choo and Matt Bush, or the relief pitcher. I chose Davis obviously because he's the most expensive player on our team, $5 million a year, and he only has a 314 on-base percentage for his career, 306 last year. So to me, not worth the money for the on-base percentage. So we're going to get rid of him, and we're going to trade for Shin Soo Choo. Not a very easy name to say. He is $4 million a year, but his on-base percentage is 381 for his career and 357 last year. So that's a significant upgrade for $1 million less per year. Plus, there's a kicker. We have relief pitcher Matt Bush, who is a little over $500,000 a year, and he played 1 year in the major leagues, and he had a pretty decent year. He was 7-2, a lot more strikeouts than walks. His ERA was low, his WHIP was good. So I think even though we're not really looking overall, he's 75 overall, I think he's a good player to gamble on. Could really turn out for us, even though he's 31, but that doesn't really matter. We're not going to look at age. But we are saving almost $500,000, plus we're upgrading our outfielder to a higher on-base percentage. So I'm going to go ahead and offer this trade, and they should accept. Sounds like a good deal to us. We'll accept that trade. So I found our next trade. It's third baseman Adam Rosales, who's actually probably not even going to make the major leagues this year, since there's two third basemen above him, and he's $2.9 million a year, so he's pretty much a waste of space here. And we're going to trade him for Joe Mauer, the first baseman of the Minnesota Twins. And the reason why I picked Joe Mauer is because he's a little less expensive, not much, but his on-base percentage is .391 for his career, .363 for last year, versus Adam Rosales is .298 for the year, or for his career, and .319 last year. So I think it's a win-win here because Mauer is $0.05 million less, but he's got way higher on base percentage, so it's a win-win. So I will offer them this trade. For our next trade, we're going to get rid of left fielder Chris Davis, who is $2.5 million a year, and his on base percentage is .312 for his career. We're going to try and get Hung Soo Kim, who is a little over $500,000 a year. Played 1 year and had a .382 on base percentage. Plus, we're going to get a right fielder Seth Smith, who is also a little over $500,000 a year, with a .344 on base percentage. He can DH, or we can do some shifting in the outfield, but he's got a good enough on base percentages for such low amount of money that he should be worth it. So we're going to offer the Orioles this trade. The next man we are trading away is Marcus Semien. He is $750,000 a year, and he only has a .302 on base percentage. And we're going to trade him to the Pirates for shortstop Hung Ho Kang, who is more expensive, just about double, $1.5 million a year. But he's pretty new to the league and has a .355 on base percentage, much better than Semien's. So I think that this deal should be worth it. Otherwise, this could actually be a pretty even trade in real life if you were looking at overall age and potential. But we're not. We're looking at on-base percentage, and even though it's a little bit more expensive for us, I think the on-base percentage could help us. So I'm going to go ahead and make this trade. Our next trade involves Trevor Plouffe, one of our top-paid players. He's $4 million a year with a .308 on-base percentage. I'm going to trade him to the Pirates for David Freese, third baseman, who's $1.8 million a year. It has a .345 on-base percentage. Plus, we're going to get a starting pitcher, and this is where the undervalued players come in, because this game gave AJ Schugel a D potential, so that really brings his value down in the game, which is exactly what we're looking for, because he's relatively young at 27 years old. He's 81 overall, so he should have a starting spot on our club. And he's only $500,000 a year. So basically, this is exactly what Billy Beane would be looking for, is AJ Schugel, an undervalued player and cheap. So we're going to be saving almost $2 million a year with this trade, gain some on-base percentage, and a potential starting pitcher. So I'm going to go ahead and finalize this trade. We're staying with the Pirates here, making a third trade, hopefully, for our second baseman, Henry Sierra, who is actually on our AAA team and not actually on the A's. He's very cheap, but he has no major league experience, so I can't even show you his on-base percentage. But I'd like to get the Pirates second baseman, Phil Gosling, who is $500,000 a year, and he has a .331 on-base percentage. So we could take a risk on Henry, but I'd rather take a risk on one of these younger, or about the same age, actually older, Drew Diggs or Joey Wendell. If I was going to take a risk, I'd take a risk on them. So basically, in my opinion, Henry Sierra is not worth the risk, especially if we can trade him for a guy who gets on base like Phil Gosling. So let's see if they're interested in making this trade. Our next trade will save us a little bit of cap space. We're going to trade straight up closing pitcher for closing pitcher to the Rangers for our Ryan Madson, who is $2.7 million a year, for the Rangers closing pitcher Sam Dyson, who's a little over $500,000 a year. So far, just quick looking at them, they look like they're pretty even stats. Dyson's younger, Ryan Matson's older, so that's kind of a small factor here. I'm trying not to look at age, but in the long run, this could be very beneficial. Plus, right now we're saving over $2 million a year. So, let's make this trade. Okay, before we get this season started, I'm going to quickly go through the lineups. I put the players in order of on-base percentage and only on-base percentage. I don't care about speed, power, or anything like that. So, in order from best to worst in on-base percentage, we have Joe Mauer, Hung Soo Kim, Shin Soo Choo, Hung Ho Kang, David Freese, Seth Smith, Matt Joyce, Phil Gosling, and Stephen Vogt. And our pitching rotation consists of Sonny Gray, AJ Schugel, Jesse Hahn, Sean Manaea, and Chris Bassett. With this lineup, I'm hoping we will not only be the best on-base percentage team in the majors, but also make the playoffs and make a run for the World Series. With opening day around the corner, I will be ending the first video of the series here. Feel free to leave any comments or suggestions below, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss episode 2 and the start of the season.
Spotlight to people for